Okay, I just did this video, but I didn't like it, so I'm going to do it again. This video is going to start my little, not really series, but my videos about rheumatoid arthritis and my journey through it, and what works for me, and hopefully it'll help other people too, because that's my goal, is to help. I, like, ever since I was a baby, I was born at 29 weeks. I was 11 weeks premature, so yeah, 29 weeks. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I figure I'd mention it in case there was some correlation and somebody else can relate to it. And like when I was little, my people kept asking my parents if my legs were broken, like, because like at the hip they would just turn like all the way around, and my foot would be completely backwards and everything. And they were testing me for some sort of hip disease that my uncle had, and he was in braces for like a year or something, and they said no, I didn't have that. And I, like, all throughout my childhood, I had swelling, I had pains, especially in my hips. Like, those are my big problem areas, my hips and my ankles, and my knees. But as I grew older, I thought, I'm just heavy set, so if I lose the weight, it'll get better. And also I thought, I'm big, so I have big joints. I just tried to make sense of everything that was going on, and I didn't really make a deal about it. In high school, I did marching band, and it was incredibly painful, and it was really hard to do everything that everybody else did. I was a lot shorter than most. I think I was 5 foot by high school. I was about 5 foot by high school, I think. So I did have to take bigger steps on the field than most. And my feet hurt a lot, my hips, my knees, my shoulders, my back, it killed me. I wound up sitting on the sidelines a lot because I was hurting. I broke my foot one year, ankle, that was great. So I sat on the sidelines that year, and so all the pains I had, I just kind of labeled as specific traumas. Like, I fell out of the tree and my foot kind of ripped half off, literally. So like that foot, that leg, well, there's probably nerve damage or something. That's why I'm hurting. I broke the other foot. That's why it hurts. Until I was out of high school. Yeah. I started seeing an orthopedic surgeon while I was in high school, and he did surgery, like, when was that? It was my freshman year of my college. Yeah. He did surgery on my right hip to repair or do something to a torn labrum, and he was going to do it to my left hip as well, but he screwed it up because oh God. I wish I never trusted him because it just really messed me up. So I still have torn labrum in my left, but I'm not going to worry about it. I don't care. I don't want anybody touching him. And so he was like, that's the only thing wrong. And I kept going back to him with pains in my back and my legs and shoulders, and he's like, well, you're flat-footed. You need these these things you put in your shoe, orthotics, I think. And at that point, because he was just so unwilling to help me, and he wasn't understanding why I was in as much pain, and he didn't care to try to find out either. And at that point, I walked out of his office and I said, you know what? I don't need orthotics. I need a new doctor. So I found a new doctor. Well, I went back to the first doctor that actually diagnosed me with the torn labrums. He couldn't do the surgery, but I went back to him and I told him my problem. He's like, yeah, that's not right. Let's see what we can do. And he found out that I had carpal tunnel in my wrist, which I found out when I was like in middle school or something. I don't know. And I have some cysts, blah blah blah. You know. He's like, that may be your pain there. And he said that my ligaments or something with my joints and the ligaments and muscles around it are like super stretchy, so like I can hyperextend my joints really easily. He's like that could be contributing to the pain, and so he did the best he could to treat me. And one test he did was a bone scan, and it lit up like a Christmas tree. And he's like, that's not right. I'm going to send you across the hall to this rheumatologist. And I saw this rheumatologist with high hopes. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to find out what's wrong, and I'm not going to be in pain. And because by this time I knew that this pain wasn't normal, because there was days I just could not get out of bed. I was hurting so bad. And so yeah, I went to this rheumatologist, and he's like, well, yeah, it's an abnormal bone scan, but I'm not going to worry about it. And basically, he told me, well, no, literally, he told me, you're depressed. You're hurting because you're depressed. You need to get your depression under control, and then maybe I can help you. And that pretty much crushed everything. I lost hope, and I was like, I'm just going to live with this. I don't know what it is, but I need to find a way to live with this. So I did. I saw a pain management doctor for a little bit, but nothing he gave me seemed to help. It sometimes took the edge off, but the stuff that took the edge off were like the heavy narcotics, and I'm really not a fan of taking stuff like that. So I didn't take it unless I absolutely had to. So then I got a new orthopedic surgeon, which basically relayed the same message as my old one and said, you know, your joints are stretchy. And he's like, but I also want you to see this rheumatologist. And, you know, he was like, she's new, she's really good. And I had a family friend that went to see her, and she just swore by her. And I was like, you know what, I'll give it another shot, you know. So I went to her, and she just looked at my hands and felt them and everything and said, well, you definitely have osteoarthritis in your hands, so I'm guessing it's other places too. And she took some x-rays, and she's like, yeah, you do have osteoarthritis in your back and in your hips and such. And I was like, okay. And so she gave me Celebrex at that point, I think. Yeah. Celebrex. Maybe something else. I'm not sure. But at my next appointment, I said, you know, this is helping, but I'm still having pain. And I think that's when she put me on another medication, which I can't remember the name of. But I continued it with the Celebrex. Gosh, I can't remember the name. I'll remember it when I finish this video, I'm sure. But, so, yeah. At that point, she diagnosed me with inflammatory arthritis. Because my joints were really inflamed and red and hot and bleh, puffy. And she injected my hips with some cortisone. I don't know, over the next several appointments, she wound up injecting pretty much all my joints, which helped a little bit. It did. In some joints. In others, it didn't. It actually made things worse in my wrists. But like every time I had a problem or like a time where I couldn't get out of bed, I'd call her and she'd call me in some steroids and stuff, and it would take care of it, you know, the swelling and stuff. And then after a while of trying, well, no, while I was still diagnosed with inflammatory arthritis, she started me on methotrexate, which is a rheumatoid arthritis drug they use. It's a low-dose chemotherapy, and I just had horrendous side effects with that. I only took like 5 pills a week. Like, I don't know, you have to take it once a week, and it's just 5 pills, and that was like the dose you start off at, and you go up from there. And I just had horrid side effects. I was so fatigued and so sick. My stomach was so sick, so upset, and so we discontinued that and started Arava, or Arava, I'm not sure how you say it, along with the Celebrex and whatever that other medication is. And it did help, but I was still waking up swollen and stiff. I was still having days where I couldn't get out of bed. And I just went back to her. I said, you know, what's going on? Is this, you know, I've just kind of accepted that this is something that I have to live with, and whatnot. And she's like, you know, I think even though, like, in my blood work I had a positive ANA, my inflammatory markers were high. I had all the markers except for one for RA, which happens in about 20% of RA patients. And she's like, at this point we're going to call it RA, and I'm going to put you on Humira. And it's an injectable, it comes in a pen. It's not bad. Like, it's definitely worth it. It's just a stupid pop it makes. It's like, I don't mind the medicine, I don't mind the needle, but the stupid pop that it has to make, that just, but, anyway, I started Humira a couple months ago, and oh my gosh. Let me tell you, I have been feeling the best I have in a long time within, you know, my joints. My joints, like my ankles, knees, and elbows, shoulders, all that, aren't nearly as swollen as they used to be. My fingers and hands, however, like, well, today they're not bad, but, you know, they have been swelling more, and I've had a lot of problems with gripping things, and I've had a lot of problems with, using my hands, like if I'm writing. I'm still in school, I'm a musician, I play clarinet, so I'm having issues with my hand. It's like I can't stop using them. So I think that's causing it. But yeah, that's basically my life with RA so far. And I'll probably make another video soon about updating about RA and what I do to help my pains. So yeah.